Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens. So just to keep in mind, Baltimore, they did go 8-9 last year on the season. They did face a lot of injuries. Those are the key notes right there, that they did face a lot of injuries. So this year, right now, how it's looking, let's go back to my power rankings where I was taking track of all the team's injuries so far, and they did have 5 players on the unable to perform. Yes, they did have 6. Marcus Pearson was activated to participate in practice, so players are coming back. They're getting a little more healthier for the first week of the NFL season. So what do we have for the Baltimore Ravens? I have a plus 2.5. Now I'm going off of last year's stats. Now granted, these are all last year numbers. This year we have to try to determine the potential that they have this year. But one of the things that I find really interesting as far as the Baltimore Ravens is concerned is all these games are close. There are only 3 games that are completely lopsided. That is the Miami Dolphins, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cincinnati Bengals. They got blown out by 20, blown out by 24. Now, I say blown out because these teams are in their division, and I'm sure they're not gonna hold that blowout. They're not. They don't like that. I wouldn't like that getting blown out. I'm definitely going to keep that in my memory bank or in the back of my mind when I face this team next time. So they got blown out by 24, blown out by 20. Disgusting. And now you have the Miami Dolphins who beat them by 12 points. They're definitely going to come back with a vengeance, especially with all their players activated. So this 24 points, I don't see them getting blown out by 24 again. I don't see them getting blown out by 20 points again. Now, not saying that it can't happen. Anything's possible, but the likelihood as far as how experienced the head coach is, how experienced the team is, and the fact that you have your running back, you have a corner that's going to be back. Yeah, it is going to be a lot closer than what happened last year. And this Miami Dolphins team, Miami Dolphins, they get better. They do have a different head coach. That's the one thing we have to take in consideration, but we don't really have to pay attention to that right now. That is the spread. So that's why I have a plus 2.5. I know it's going to be hard getting that 2.5 number. So if you're looking more towards winning, that is a plus. FanDuel also have same game parlays where you can get a team to win and go over or under the total. So let's get into the totals. As we can see with the totals, every team they went to the over made sense. So we have Kansas City, we have Indianapolis Colts, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, I don't care what you say, they can put up points. They always fall like a field goal short of winning a game, which is crazy to me. But they can duke it out with any team. And I'm actually high on the Minnesota Vikings this year. Not so high, but I am high on the Minnesota Vikings with the new head coach. I feel as though the head coach kind of was hindering them for a couple of seasons, and they were an odd team. Like some of the things they did didn't make sense. Like they lost to a weak team, but blew out a really good team, which, whatever. But new head coach, new philosophy. So I think the Minnesota Vikings, if they were to play again, everything can be repeated. Same thing with the Colts. Same thing with Kansas City Chiefs. Also, you have the Raiders. Again, Derek Carr. He's a he be slinging the football. I mean, the guy is good. I mean, he's been really putting up stats with second string wide receivers. Tell you the truth. So I mean, again, going over the total won't be surprising. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, and with Devontae Adams on that team last year, yes, I can see him going over 61 this year if they were to face each other. And I seen a lot of news reports that said, excuse me, that said Aaron Rodgers, the rookie wide receivers they have need some more work. So they need to be on the same page. So obviously they still have a lot of work to do. as far as getting everybody on the same page, and as far as Aaron Rodgers throwing on the football, especially if you're running the wrong routes, that's an issue. Yeah, they definitely need to get on the same page. So if they were to face again, I'm looking at a under. So with that being said, if we avoid the Bengals and the who else? There was another team. The Miami Dolphins. I feel as though they will have a fighting chance, but with a new head coach this year, and here's the thing about the Miami Dolphins head coach, he did send a tight end to the Texans. Texans sent the tight end back, said, "Nah, this guy is damaged goods." Now they have that tight end on injured reserve, so he's eating up roster space, and that is kind of a issue as far as head coaching is concerned. That's what I mean by a new head coach. If he already knew the guy was hurt, which I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that he didn't, but you do have a medical staff on deck that can evaluate this guy before making that trade. That just seems like a little bad look for me, sending a guy over there. He may not be responsible of the trades, but with that being said, it was still under his watch. He's responsible of his players, and with something like that, I'm drawing question marks about, because, and it's very, very minor. This is a minor incident, but just to send that guy and him being hurt is a bad sign. Is a bad sign in my opinion. This is all my opinion. So the lack of experience is actually showing with this Miami Dolphins football team in the head coach. Now, again, that's very, very minor. It may not be as big as I'm making it out to be, but I'm looking at any other team and that hasn't happened. So just to keep that in mind. But let's get into the opponents coming up for the Ravens. And as we can see, looking back at the stats here, we have Kansas City. All the teams that were supposed to go over, they did. All the teams that were supposed to go under, they did. And just so you know, they have more under than over games. So I think they're like 9 to the under and 8 to the over. So their opponents. So what does that mean? So we facing the Jets. I mean, over or under, I'm gearing more towards the under. The Miami Dolphins, new head coach, I'm gearing more towards, you know what, I'm going to gear more towards the under in this game, as well as the Ravens with a 2.5. I think the Ravens will win that game with a 2.5 facing the Dolphins. Then you have the New England Patriots. I'm gearing towards the under. This should go to the over. Again, the Bengals probably go to the over. We have to see how the Bengals are performing. I'm not really sold on the Bengals, but again, I seen the numbers from Burrow and he has been balling. So they can definitely repeat. I won't be surprised. I feel as though the Bengals will take a step back, but that is yet to be determined at this time. I'm going to look at them and evaluate them as the season go on. I'm trying not to be completely biased on the Bengals, but looking at their strength of schedule last year, looking at their situation, I just feel as though they were in the right place at the right time. I might be wrong. Burrow might throw lights out again. So I'm just going to keep my eye on the Bengals. So looking at the past stats, I'm just going to go with the over. For the moment, this is going to the under. The Browns, again, under. Tampa Bay Bucks, over. This should go to the over, even though they do have good defense. Carolina Panthers, I got this highlighted. Now, with the Carolina Panthers, you have to understand Baker Mayfield is experienced facing the Ravens. So with that being said, this game, and I think his record was 3-5 against the Ravens. Look it up yourself. Don't take what I say to heart. Always do your own research. But I do believe his record is 3-5 against the Ravens. He's with a different team. Depending on how his team been performing, I'm thinking they're going to perform pretty well this year, even though they do have a tough schedule, and those games will be a lot closer than what people may indicate. But I do like the Carolina Panthers to have a close game against the Ravens with the experience from Baker Mayfield. Then you have the Jaguars. Again, that's going to the under. Denver Broncos, that's probably going to the over, and the Denver Broncos probably will win this game. Then you go into your divisional opponents, which again, under. That's definitely going to be an under game, leading up to another divisional opponent. May even be a upset because you have a sandwich game with two more divisional opponents right there. So with that being said, the Buffalo Bills, and then they have to face the Bengals. This may be a loss for the Ravens. It's gearing up to be a loss. The Bills have an edge as far as the schedule is concerned. Again, you have the New York Giants. I'm not really worried about the Giants. I think the Giants will self-destruct. I think the Ravens will still win that, even though it's sandwiched between the Bengals and the Browns. But then you face the Browns, and coming off the Browns, you have to face a tough team as far as the Tampa Bay Bucks. So again, the edge is going to the Bucks after facing again, the Bucks is pretty good. Yeah, that's going to be a tough game. So I'm looking at that game to go to the over. That being said, you have the Saints leading into a bye, and let's see what they did last year as far as the bye week. Bye week was week 8. As we can see, where is week 7? So before the bye, they did lose to the Bengals, divisional game. And after the bye, they did come off with a win against Minnesota, and that was to the over. So just to keep that in mind, I mean, I'm not saying that's the gospel, but that is something to definitely take into consideration. And this game may go to the over. It may go to the over, depending. But that's what I have for the Ravens. I'm probably going to put out another video about the power rankings and the spreads for week 1, getting into it. And that's pretty much all I have for you. So this is probably going to be a video, and the rankings is probably going to be another video of its own. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, bet wisely, guys.